everyone. Hello, everyone. Welcome. This is the Transformative Vertical Flight Working Group Public Services, meeting number 88, magical number. Today is Thursday, July the 18th, 2024. Good to have everybody online. I understand some of the folks are traveling to a conference and to Oshkosh AirVenture. Unfortunately, we have this recorded. Therefore, our membership can come back and play back the recording when they have time. Today, we have two, we didn't invite the external speaker, but we have two topics we'd like to cover. First one is talk about the roadmap. This working group at the beginning, one of the charter is to lay out a vision look ahead roadmap, which we did quite a bit of work on that. And it's been a few years. A lot have changed and a lot of progress has been made in the industry. Some of the roadmap items has become reality. Therefore, I think it's about time for us to re-engage, look ahead, and revisit our roadmap in some of the key areas, especially the areas that that we think that may be under-investigated, under-investment, or need attention or need efforts in order to enable various kinds of public service missions. And after that, and oh, by the way, on this one, I would like to, not as a presentation, but more of using the slides as a talking point so that we can have a discussion, a dialogue. I think that's really more meaningful. The second part is Dr. Pavel will give us a progress update on the white paper we're working on. Before we start the meeting, as usual, I will highlight some of the forthcoming events and conferences. And some, including myself, I guess we will see some of you at the 18th Annual Electric Aircraft Symposium, and starting Saturday and Sunday. And following that right away is the EAA Oshkosh AirVenture 2024, one of the world's largest, probably the largest aviation event. For anyone who hasn't been able to join us there, please make a future arrangement. It's a little challenging, the last minute engagement. Just another reminder, in case you are interested and able to haven't registered for the Electric Aircraft Symposium, you still can register and go through the symposium online. So that's available. The conference will be recorded and online real time. So please do that. Oh, of course, also we have an aviation forum, the July 29th to August 2nd in Vegas, one of the largest AIAA professional conference. For just almost the same time, we have a FAA Drone and AAM Symposium, sponsored by FAA and the AUVSI. That I think it's DC, yeah. So that would be a worthwhile. Anybody can attend that. Please, we would love to have your feedback on what you learn, what you hear.
Right, that's Baltimore.
Oh, Baltimore. Thank you. See, that I have to be careful not covering up the critical information on my slide here. And of course, there's also a Fly-HY, the hydrogen aviation. That will be taking place in conjunction with the Commercial UAV Expo, September 3rd to 5th. And there is a Canadian conference, AAM 2024 is ICAO, Advanced Air Mobility Symposium. That would be in Montreal, Canada. That would be a good, useful, and meaningful, interesting first meeting organized by ICAO. And don't forget about the ACAM infrastructure workshop. That's being September 17, 18th, and also September 10th to 12th, there's a European Rotorcraft forum. So if I missed some of the useful one, or please look ahead, then send me some link or email so that we can make sure that we mention that in this meeting. One thing that's going to be interesting, I like to report to the team that we have a fresh off the press white paper by Eric Schiff about the demystifying advanced air mobility white paper. This is a white paper. It's over 100 pages long. I put the link of the paper there, but PDF file. But you can also just go to the eVTOL, the Vertical Flight Society homepage and get to the news. And you can see this is in the news identified. It's a very extensive report, so I would encourage everybody to take a look at this one. I know Eric putting a lot of effort in this thing here, and some of us were able to help provide some input. It's worthwhile reading. So get to the main topic. As I say, I like to be a discussion rather than a presentation. Of course, the topic is the working group on public services, the roadmap. Current progress, as I mentioned, we have made a lot of progress, the whole industry have. And therefore, some of the items of design, technology, operation, infrastructure, the one that already make good progress with significant resources poured in may be not what we need to focus on our roadmap. What we like to do is look at the opportunities and challenges, specifically leveraging eVTOL AM for public services, and identify some of the key roadmap items and perhaps the possible timeline. And the way we like to work the roadmap is to look ahead 5 to 10 years and see what needs to be done as a whole industry, including government, the resources, the funding, the logistic, the supply chain, everything, whatever. So I'll quickly go through some of the slides and I will pause in between and so make sure that we get some dialogue and discussion going on. This page has been updated a few times, but fundamental didn't change too much. This is some of the use case we have identified: firefighting, disaster, humanitarian mission, medical transport, law enforcement, search and rescue, and military operations. Of course, within there's many different kinds of missions, operations, and I put in the blue text as some of the operators or operating entities that may fit into that category, but definitely not a full detailed listing. There's many, in different countries, we sometimes use different terminologies as well. On the near-term opportunities and challenges, out of that large listing, I kind of abstract a few. It's for my discussion with many people and potential users and so on, and watching what the industry has been progressing. I think some of those on this page may be closer than some others to be realized. First one is the first responder, police, medical transport. For example, John Barrow Carl has been working on this high-speed, fast, compact, single-person EMS first responder vehicle. So great progress. I mean, knowing Carl, I think something is going to happen sooner than what we probably realize. The second one would be the rapid response on-demand firefighting that may include urban and suburban fighting as well as wildfire. Personally, I think the starting maybe with unmanned and become able to transport firefighters and so on, become manned operation. The wildfire mission may happen before we can get the urban suburban firefighting operation going. Just my personal 2 cents. Of course, military is engaging, especially Air Force, spend a lot of energy and resources evaluating, testing different kind, different size, different configuration of eVTOLs with the goal of starting implementing some level of operation, could be as soon as next year. We'll monitor the progress, but I think that's actually moving forward pretty well. We can definitely help them engage more, even provide more ideas and possibilities. And the fourth one is what I call the natural disaster, including evacuation, rescue, recovery. Perhaps the first mission that can happen is that right after, say, a hurricane, we will deliver food, water, medicine, fuel, generator, whatever, to the disaster areas, and followed by, once it's man qualified, we'll put an injured person in the thing and transport to the nearest hospital and so on to be careful. That may be but that could happen pretty soon, hopefully. So anyway, just my 2 cents, throwing some of the missions on the list, definitely open for what you guys think. The other missions that you think we can make happen sooner than later? What do you guys think? I tell you what, I'm going to, when I pause for a question, I will just, by the way, I have a little difficulty seeing the rest of the attendee because I got my presentation screen on. Therefore, if you were raising your hand, I'm not seeing you. So just go ahead, turn on the mic and speak if you like. And for the sake of time, I'm going to move forward, and we can always come back and talk about the slides, few slides back, and so on. So, and I'm going to lay out a few based on the meeting notice that we sent out. I'm going to go through some areas that I think could be warranted to have as a topic for the roadmap, including perhaps we need to break it down, from the main topic, we break it down into a few tasks or milestone that we can identify, and we can then make a timeline, say this few things should happen on this topic in order to realize the mission and so on. First one is a mission-tailored eVTOL platform system, which right now I'm observing and seeing two directions. One is a mission-specific designed, tailored, like the jump arrow picture on the left I mentioned. That's a very mission-specific, mission-tailored platform systems. So that's one area that's moving forward. It's making good progress. I think we're getting a couple, three more OEM interested in developing targeted specific mission platform, or the one that cargo transport from Aero. That's a very fairly specific mission, even though it can carry different kind of stuff in the cargo pod, but its mission is very specific. It's medium range, turbine powered, autonomous on ground, especially on the ground. Has autonomous moving managing system. So that's, to me, is mission tailored. But there's other ones also that we see that a platform can be adopted for different public service mission, almost like the current helicopters. We have different helicopter models, but they have different version or kits that will convert them for different missions. So I'm looking at this it could happen as soon as within a couple of years we have useful platforms, start trial runs and so on, testings and so on. But it will keep going. We'll get more and more and more platform capable of doing this. So I'd say 2 to 10 years is a timeline, but we can break it down into a few key milestones. And we also need some technologies, mission enabler. Autonomy to me is one of the very important feature because, for example, if we want most of the firefighters able to utilize one of those platforms, either shorten the time to the site or transport an injured person to the hospital or whatever, we can expect to have every firefighter to go through 500-hour flight training and flight time, logging flight time before they were permitted to operate. We need the system mostly in autonomous mode, automated mode. And basically, the firefighter, the EMS technicians, and everybody will be a user of the system or the platform. So to me, the autonomy is a key element, especially for public service has a different element requirement. For example, if it's a air taxi, urban air mobility, when you come to a vertiport ready to land, you have the control center give you the permission, your pad is clear, you land, and most likely the pad is pretty flat, that's how it constructed, and be able to land on it pretty much without obstacles and whatever. But if it's a emergency response mission, we may be required to land in various different kinds of terrains and conditions. And so we will need to understand where it's going in. Is it safe to land? If not, is there a good alternative nearby landing site that you can place the vehicle down safely and be able to operate from there? So I'm not talking about the broad-based autonomy, which is very important core, but we also need to add mission-specific autonomy capabilities. And the other thing is detect and avoid. It's useful, important for even UAM operation, but probably for disaster relief, humanitarian aid, whatever, we're going in and out of complex situations, sometimes chaotic, could be. And the ability to detect and avoid either other flight vehicle, drones, or birds, even though we may have a theater commander that doing air traffic management, but that may not always be the case. So I think detect and avoid system tailored for mission will be useful, critical. Energy source or capability and battery technology continuously advance, but for emergency response and certain kind of public services, we may need to consider swapping batteries. I know has its inherent challenges, but if we really need the airplane to turn around real quick, sometimes that's needed. That may need to be considered in certain vehicles. And of course, the packaging BMS technology tailored for this missions. And further along, maybe in some missions, we really want a longer range capabilities. And in that case, range extender or hybrid power systems may be necessary, especially for certain public service operations. anyway, so that's I kind of think this is ongoing, but we may want to break it down into a few key milestones to identify when what may be realistically achievable and so on. And now, as a working group, we may not have the resources to do everything ourselves, but we may be able to help the industry recognize, identify the tasks that need to be addressed to be successful in this field. Any thoughts, comments? All right. The next one is the autonomous. I mentioned autonomous again, but in this case, it goes into the training. Okay, including the mission management and simplified operator training. It could be that the training may only take 45 minutes for the first initial flight training. An hour on the ground and maybe an hour ground school. You may start the flight training able to because I learned it the easy way. It's how easy some of the platform can be operated by the experienced pilot. But also, so I think it's critically important. I mean, it has to be simple for the operator, either on the ground or in the air to operate. And of course, the airspace and route planning, we need to have the ability to quickly switch from a, say, business as usual air traffic management, airspace management, to emergency declaration, airspace taken over by the theater commanders and so on. We need to have that capability switch over. And I think also the AI can be helpful, especially with the advancement of the AI hardware capability industry-wide. Our ability to train systems to be more capable and smarter and safer is probably significantly helped in the last 12 months. So why not take advantage of it, right? So this, again, is an ongoing effort. But I think it's vitally important. I'll talk about this a little bit in the latter, maybe the last slide, that some ideas I have that might be useful or helpful, how to scale the whole industry. But autonomy is part of the critical element in my mind to scale the industry so that more people can take advantage of the capabilities. All right. Jump to the certification, operational approval. Of course, we all know that we have type certification and certification standards. That's ongoing. Actually, a lot of progress we made. I'm definitely waiting to see the final version of the Mosaic updates on the RSA rules because many of the platform can fall in that. That can definitely accelerate some of the system platform operations and so on. I'm pretty curious, if the Mosaic approved, RSA approved platform can be and where can it be used for public service missions. Anybody has more information on that, I'll be happy to talk more. I think Carl Dietrich is going to have a talk on that subject, so I'm looking forward in the next couple of days to learn more about this. Now, of course, the one thing I think may help is that if we can, between the OEM and the supplier, can share costs on design allowables and so on. For example, composite, we had that done once some 20 years ago, and develop a set of standard material and processes that give you a certain allowables and so on, so that not every company has to start from the ground up and certifying the whole process and material combination and so on. That's a lot of resources. I know that because I went through all that. It's that's one thing that I would like to kind of push the collaboration front. Okay. Now the second part is production certificate. Many people talk about certification, forget about the production side of it. all that quality system has to be approved, have to be able to follow, and so on. Uh, One thing, again, I think AI may be able to help us on the QC process and capture the defect before it gets into the airplanes and so on. So looking forward to any input on that one. And finally, is the operation approval. We might be able to use it as a public airplane, but even that, public agencies may still want some kind of supporting evidence that this airplane is safe, suitable for the missions and so on. So that is one area I think we really need to spend some resources and dive into it, and provide some help and guidance, maybe even write a little introduction pamphlet, information document to help the potential end user agencies to work with the OEM platform manufacturer to advance the implementation. Thoughts on that one, guys?
So, Johnny, I think that there's definitely a path forward between the new Mosaic LSA and public use aircraft operations rules. You technically don't even need to be an LSA. Under the public use operations rules, they could take any aircraft and put it into use. But I agree, generally speaking, the government entities will want some sort of assurance that the aircraft and the operation will be conducted in a safe manner. And so conformance with the international standards that have been approved by the FAA is certainly a good step in that direction, and a reasonable demonstration, especially with the accident data over the past couple of decades that suggests that the statistical fatal accident rate for light sport aircraft is basically on par with certified aircraft at this point. That's a very encouraging sign. And it's one of the reasons why Mosaic is happening, in my opinion. So I think we've got a good path forward.
A question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Is SVO required or just desired to make all this work?
So, Johnny, do you want me to take
go
that?
ahead. Go ahead. Yes, please.
So, under the proposed Mosaic rulemaking, if you would like to fly a helicopter, it must have what are called simplified flight controls, or SFC. SFC is effectively, you can think of it as like the category of SVO that is particularly addressing loss of control in flight, right? So simplified flight controls employ full envelope protection and things of that nature, right? So that it's defined in the NPRM in section 22.180. That's where the FAA has put forward their proposed definition of simplified flight controls. So you can look it up in the Federal Register for the actual verbiage. A number of organizations have made comments to suggest changes to that specific verbiage. We'll see what the FAA comes out with. We don't know.
Let me re-ask, because I don't think you got my question. Is simplified operations required, or is it just desired and an organization could go forward with conventional training?
I think maybe I'm not understanding so when you say simplified operations, do you mean simplified flight controls?
The concept of simplified flight controls, simplified pilotage, all of that makes training less burdensome, which is, of course, desirable. But if an organization chose to go forward with conventional controls and conventional training, is that acceptable and feasible, albeit maybe unaffordable?
For a Mosaic light sport aircraft, as long as it's fixed wing, yes, absolutely. For a rotorcraft, no. And that's one of the points of contention. So, under the proposed rules, any sort of rotorcraft, helicopter, would require simplified flight controls in order to be considered a Mosaic LSA. If it's a fixed wing aircraft, you can have conventional controls. Yeah.
What if you chose not to be a Mosaic LSA? saying that's a choice to
Sure.
go forward under the Mosaic LSA. And I'm asking,
Sure.
is that required to do this with these new aircraft, or is it just desired?
Are you talking about eVTOLs, or are you talking about, I mean, you can make an aircraft that's just a normal fixed wing aircraft. There's no requirement for SFC.
Understood. That's what I'm saying. But a rotary wing, there's no requirement for SFC either, right?
Right.
Okay, just checking. That was the question. Is it required as the way forward, or is it just desired? If these rules get hiccups, is there a path without them? That was the question.
Yes. Yes, there is absolutely a path without Mosaic. For traditionally certified aircraft, the FAA just published AC 2117-4, which is effectively the certification basis for a VTOL aircraft. It's kind of a hybrid of Joby and Archer's cert basis. So that's out there. You can go along that lines. If you're doing an eVTOL, if you're doing a traditional helicopter, you can just go to Part 27. If you're doing a traditional fixed wing, go to Part 23. So there is absolutely no requirement to have SFC whatsoever.
Thanks. Just wanted to check because it seems like a foregone conclusion. I just wanted to clarify. Thanks.
Yep.
Good point. Yeah, good question too. Yeah, it's but I think it depends on what the final version of the Mosaic is. It does provide a perhaps less burdensome way to approve some of the smaller platform to the public, and just definitely a value added there. I think I have to applaud the FAA for taking on such a challenge task. I know it's not easy, so I'm looking forward to the final version. I'm sure many of you did as well. All right, I'm going to move a little faster. Just throw some of the topic on the top so that we, rather than go to details. That way we can have everybody have a general picture and be able to think about it and provide some input and feedback and so on. This particular one is about the cost-effective production and total ownership cost management. It's I point it that way is because not just the vehicle, and especially for public services, many entities that talk to fire departments and so on, they all seem to be very budget constrained. So understand that. I think if we have some operation has millions and millions, hundreds of millions of budget, but that's exceptions, not general practice. And so for us to truly take advantage of it, we really need the platform to be affordable, and the way it's trained, operate, and maintain, all that need to be cost effective. And to me, that's just ongoing and we need to brainwash the whole industry to start really thinking of ways, methods to achieve that, because that's critical. And I think I may have showed this slide once before. Is I call it dynamic infrastructure and service support. Mainly it's because for public service mission, not every operation is going to be fixed based. Some will be, and it'd be great to have the fixed base that you can go out and back. But when you go out, you likely land in the street corner or in the cul-de-sac or somewhere to pick up a patient or something, or to just get to the patient for that matter. At the same time, if it's a disaster situation, we need to get a whole bunch of vehicle platform systems over and support equipment, charging stations, and everything out to the nearby area as a staging areas. So we need to be able to deploy, and which to me, it means we need to find ways to take advantage of as much available infrastructures and systems and support operations and make modifications so they can support the public service AM operations. This is just one of my thoughts that, at least in the US, and we got tons and tons of general aviation airports can be rather easily, to me, adapted for support as a staging area. And the other one is the high school football stadium. I mean, we're a football maniac country, so it's everywhere. No matter where I fly, commercial airline, I can see dozens of football field out there down below. Just approaching land, I can see half a dozen, and take off, same thing. So it's available resources. I did a little homework. I think a lot more work needs to be done to see, can we truly take advantage of those available facilities that to complement or enable our missions whenever it's needed. And the other thing is charging. Charging is a major problem issues. I understand some of the airplane is still using, is using CCS standards, and there are discussion about using NACS, since many auto industry in North America is adapting the Tesla plug and so on. So the plug compatibility, or maybe the adapter cables and so on, and mobile generator, battery pack, and so on, that can go with the mission is going to be one of the things that we haven't seen enough development and really need to be addressed. And the user engagement and public outreach, we've been doing that to some degree, trying very hard. But I'm so happy to see that the Go Aero is take on the name Aero Emergency Response Operation, the Go Aero. Okay, it's a reach out many organizations, to reach out NASA and other places, as well as the globally. We're engaging universities and individual operations, small operations, try to compete on platform system that is basically an emergency platform capable system. And so I think one of the things that we should really do is collaborating even more, take advantage of the Go Aero activities and exposure, and meanwhile reach out to more folks out there, the end user, the fire department, the EMS operators, and so on, hospitals, whatever, FEMA perhaps, get the rest of the world understand the opportunity, and then we can deal with the demand and supply the systems and so on. So, and I mentioned earlier that there's another way I think we might be able to do some good for the whole industry. You want to scale to the point that we can really darken the sky, to say. The current aviation industry resources just not enough. I mean, we know that. I mean, we can't take everybody away from the aviation industry, right? And we need to produce a lot more people, a lot more talent, engage a lot more talent into this whole industry, including maybe especially the public services. So I'm digging into this possibility of embed some of the gaming elements of the eVTOL AM elements into a popular gaming platform, and or even later on develop our own standalone games through the mass outreach capability of the gaming industry. We can immerse and evaluate who may be suitable, capable, and interested in any of those things, and maybe send out some incentive, free lesson, flying lesson coupon, whatever, and to get them really engaged in the industry, not just as a pilot, but there are software or gaming software that you can design, build a whole city. Imagine those guys score high on that. We definitely want to get those guys to help design the urban air mobility, and the emergency dynamic deployable infrastructures and systems and so on. So I think that's one of the crazy way that we might be able to move forward, get a lot more the rest of the world engaged in this effort. Actually, with help of several folks writing another SAE Edge report on this topic. So if anybody has thoughts, interest, like to engage, let me know. Definitely need some help here. And I think that's the last slide I have put together. Those are just some of the items I think we need to dive into a little more, and maybe make each topic have a few milestone action items and so on, to let become a communication tool, the roadmap become a communication tool with the government agencies, funding resources, OEM, industry, producer, and so on, to raise awareness and hopefully help some of the tasks to become reality. So I would need volunteers to send me thoughts, ideas, points on any of the topic or things that we haven't talked about that you think is important. Please do so. Absolutely need your input. I can be the editor, try to compile this roadmap, but I definitely, that's what this working group is about, right? So that's what we need. Other thoughts? And please, I mean, this working group is not just monthly meeting only. We definitely need to have more offline talk discussions, maybe small groups or one-on-one, whatever. Open invitation. All right. Now, while everybody's thinking about the important topic, we have another important topic. I'm going to hand it over to Dr. Pavel about our white paper. Let me see if I know how to this. Well, how do I unshare? Oh, Tom, do you have a way to let Dr. Pavel to show her slides?
I think I'm sharing already.
Okay.
You are screen sharing. Do you see it, Johnny?
Oh, I cannot see anything right now.
Oh my goodness.
I'm technically
go up to the link
challenged.
where you see the little share button and pull drop down, and it should.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, my command line just hide away from my screen. So please go ahead, Dr. Pavel. The floor is yours while I sort out my control commands. There you go.
Okay, thank you. So you see my screen. That's good. So good evening from Europe. It's holiday, so it's summer. Students are on holiday, so I started thinking of this white paper. I have a bit more time, and I took the paper that we published in 2020. We published under NASA. And it was our first white paper. And the goal would be now to write a second white paper. I tried to put some slides on some thoughts that I had on this. Let me go this year. So the first version that we were having in mind for this second white paper had, let's say, the following sections. Look again at industry status, and thank you, Johnny. This is very nice. So you update it, and probably we can use information. Then go to some use cases, as we were doing in the old white paper. Try to link to the Go Aero competition. concentrate on the certification effort, and here again the part 103, infrastructure reform effort, and to go from where to where. So this was what we had in mind. It was in April. But then I started writing I thought, okay, I start with an introduction, see what has been going on. And I looked at some new white papers, and now it just appeared to me in July 15. It was the paper, the white paper that Johnny was talking, which was Demystifying Advanced Air Mobility, very nice name. And it seems that the author also looked at the title, and it's a podcast, Demystifying Autonomy. I think it's a very nice white paper, and it is a broad overview of this AM industry to support the understanding by the public and relevant stakeholders. So this is the paper that I was reading in these days. But then last week, we also had another speaker in the TVF, and it was from Iridium. And they published in June 23rd another white paper, and it's called Monitored BV Loss, a new model for US integration in the national aerospace system, where the BV loss, I never knew, but is beyond, so is flying beyond visual line of sight. And they are presenting the challenges on scaling these drones for application. And I think that this is also very relevant for our public services. And then, of course, I was reading the last paper that we had, so July 2020, when we had this white paper published, where we were concentrating on 5 cases: fighting wildfire, logistics of the natural disaster, the medevac, the law enforcement, and last mile aerial delivery. So giving this context of the different white papers that are publishing, that shows actually how quick is advancing this mobility, I came basically to another thought, and I would like some inputs for you, because in the last years, I think in the last 6 to 10 years, there is a huge advancement in some disruptive technologies, and they all will affect the this public services. And I'm thinking first of the Internet of Things, where you have the different things which are interrelated devices which connect and exchange data. Digital image processing, where of course you have a lot of algorithms which are analyzing all the digital data. Johnny has concentrated on artificial intelligence. Now here you have different algorithms, but we go more and more towards explainable AI, and I think we go more as well towards AI and human interaction. Another field which is very disruptive is the big data analytics, because we get more and more data, and basically we can have the tools and application in order to try to understand all this the data that we are using. The social media, it seems that is also considered at the moment a disruptive technology. And then we have the robotics is called, and in the robotics you have the drones. For example, this picture that I took, it was from an article where they were writing that the drones were in Arizona, were flyingly, and they were creating problems for the firefighters because the drones, they wanted to take pictures. And the advanced air mobility, where we identify technology, safety, regulation, people, and procedures as really areas. Now, when I start writing this introduction, I came, okay, you have these really disaster strategies, and you need in disaster strategy to be resilient. And for this, all these things that are here, I presented, they all happen together with this advanced air mobility. So I think that there is a need for a white paper in which we actually try to understand how these new developments are influencing this advanced air mobility. So this was my thought. And I saved to you, for example, some articles where I saw that you can use AI to detect the smoke from fire. And there are, for example, two companies. This is one company in California. I don't see. So this is the one company that, so they placed cameras, and they are connecting all this data. And through artificial intelligence, they understand when there is really smoke and where is fire. The problem that they have is, for example, that the area are huge, of course, and they don't have enough cameras. And in Europe, they have another technology where they use AI in order to fight fires. So the Aurora Tech, I think it's a company in Germany, and Greece will be the first country to build a national wildfire system based on this technology. So it's a bit as well like Iridium is also working, probably. And all these, they are going to be included in our public services and in the solutions that we are developing. So coming back to the white paper, I would say to you, the path, let's say the parts that we put for a white paper, I'm prepared to discuss with you because I think that we should have something with a more related areas as well to these disruptive technologies that we are developing. So basically, that was my my presentation and the thoughts that I wanted to share with you. So I will stop share and listen if there are some comments. There are. Yes. Okay.
Any thoughts, guys? If you don't say anything, you will be volunteered to write part of the white paper. Yeah, I think that's a good thought to me. That you know, you point out some of the areas that I think it's you're absolutely right. It's the world has changed so much lately, and we need to make sure we clearly identify the opportunity that enabling opportunities and the challenge to go with it. Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a great point.
Yes, so yes, those are the points that I wanted to share with you, and probably I will discuss more with Johnny on this. So please join if you would like.
Yes.
Johnny and Doctor, I'm putting a few things in the chat here pertinent to the discussion, and if the time aligns with the schedule this summer, I'm happy to join a private discussion on this and some things Johnny and I have been talking about on the side.
Thank you. Yes.
Yeah, perhaps we can set up a little dialogue. You know, I know Kirk and I talk from time to time, but we should bring Dr. Pavel in our next conversation, perhaps. That would be perfect. Yeah, I saw your note in the on the chat part of it.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah,
Yes.
that would be great. That would be great. And I'll tell you what, I know, every time when you have 1 hour meeting time, it almost feel not enough to cover it. It's a pretty broad and interesting topics and subject, and the goal, it's definitely meaningful. So I really appreciate everybody's engagement and participation, and please do let other people know that may be useful and interested in our effort or our topics. That way we continue to bring in new ideas and new knowledge, new efforts into this working group. So with that, and again, please feel free to engage individually, one-on-one, one on a few. Let's keep the ball rolling, and that way we can contribute some to the society as part of our effort here. So with that, thank you everyone, and I'll see you guys next month.
Thank you, Johnny. Success in Oshkosh.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.